Tonight, we arrive in Antarctica the way a whisper arrives, without effort, without fanfare. Simply there. Above the frozen horizon, the sky rests in a deep, velvety blue. Moonlight spills softly across the sea ice, not as a spotlight, but as a gentle glaze, like someone brushed the world with a thin layer of silver. The wind is present, but it doesn't perform. It just breathes, slow and steady, moving over ridges of snow, the way a hand smooths a blanket. Out on the dark water, icebergs drift like floating cathedrals, tall, pale structures with quiet arches and shadowed chambers, sculpted by time and temperature, shaped into forms that feel almost thoughtful. They don't hurry, they don't aim, they simply glide, as if they're on their way to a very calm appointment, sometime next week. And if your mind has been carrying a little extra noise today, you don't need to wrestle with it here. In this place, even your thoughts can take off their shoes at the door. The ice doesn't judge. The ocean doesn't keep score. The night holds everything the way the sea holds the moonlight, gently and without asking for anything back. Welcome to sleepy nature sleep, where the wild grows soft and curiosity becomes calm. Tonight, let your thoughts follow the rhythm of the earth, your breathing settle like evening wind, and your mind wander gently through the quiet wild. If this place feels peaceful, you're always welcome back, like a familiar seat near a quiet campfire, where the warmth is real and nobody asks you to be anything other than present. Some listeners return night after night, like migrating birds of comfort, though with fewer feathers and more blankets. And if you'd like to support the channel, it helps us keep the nightlights low and the nature facts cozy, so we can continue making these calm journeys together, one slow breath at a time. Now, let's drift farther south in our imagination, into the hush of Antarctica's living silence. Here, sound behaves differently. It feels spaced out, softened by snow and distance. A faint crackle of ice, a long, low sigh of water against the frozen edge. Somewhere far away, a sleepy call, maybe a seabird settling into the dark, maybe a seal resting like a warm comma on the shoreline. Tonight's journey is a gentle one. We'll glide through this polar world as if we're following the slow movement of the tide, meeting icebergs, quiet animals, and the patient rhythms that make this place feel like a lullaby written in blue and white. So settle your shoulders. Let your jaw loosen. Let your breathing slow. Antarctica is already doing the same. As we drift a little deeper into Antarctica's quiet, it becomes easier to notice how this place seems to live by a different tempo. Not slower exactly, just unbothered. Like it never learned the habit of rushing in the first place. The moon hangs above the horizon with an unhurried glow, and the ice below reflects it back in soft fragments, like a scattered set of sleepy mirrors. The sea breathes in small motions. The air rests against your skin like cool silk. Even the shadows feel gentle here, not sharp, more like they're lounging. And in this calm, a simple question begins to form. Not a puzzling question. Not one of those questions that makes the mind pace around the room looking for answers. This one is more like a warm cup placed in your hands. Here it is. What does it mean to truly belong to a place? When the place doesn't need you to prove anything, Antarctica doesn't ask for credentials. It doesn't request a biography. It doesn't care if you were productive today, or if you stared into the fridge for 5 minutes and forgot why you opened it. The ice still drifts. The sea still rocks gently. The night still folds itself around everything with quiet patience. Belonging, in many parts of the world, can feel like effort, like you have to earn your right to rest. But in Antarctica, the landscape offers something different, a kind of belonging that comes from simply existing alongside it, breathing in the same air, listening to the same wind. And perhaps that's why this question feels so soothing here, because Antarctica is full of life that belongs without performing, creatures that don't hustle, animals that don't overthink their brand. They don't wake up and announce their goals for the day. They just live their gentle routines with the confidence of something ancient and ordinary at once. If you imagine a seal resting on the ice, it doesn't look like it's trying to impress anyone. It looks like it's mastered the art of being exactly where it is. Honestly, it's a little rude how good they are at relaxing. And as we carry this question with us, we don't need to answer it right away. We can let it float beside us like a small lantern, soft, steady, not demanding. Because tonight isn't about solving anything. It's about drifting through a world where belonging is quiet and natural, like snow settling, like water smoothing, like breath finding its own rhythm again. So we keep the question close, the way you might keep a smooth pebble in your pocket, and we begin to look around, slowly, at the landscape that holds it. Now, picture Antarctica in the way it most often reveals itself, not as a dramatic stage, but as a wide, calm presence. The horizon stretches in long, pale lines. Snow lies across the ice like a fresh sheet, slightly textured, slightly shimmering, as if it remembers the light that touched it earlier. The air is cold, yes, but it's a clean cold, the kind that feels like clarity, like the world quietly wiped its glasses. In some places, sea ice forms a smooth skin over the water, and in other places, it breaks into plates, flat pieces drifting close together like a calm puzzle. Between them, dark water shows through in narrow seams, moving gently, breathing slowly, as if the ocean is half asleep and perfectly content about it. And then there are the icebergs. Some are low and broad, like floating hills. Others rise with tall faces and rounded edges, carved by time into shapes that feel almost architectural. Arches, ledges, quiet corridors. When moonlight touches them, they glow faintly. And when they turn, slowly, subtly, the shadows shift like soft curtains. Antarctica's weather has a reputation for being intense, but tonight, we hold it in its gentler form. The hush between winds, the quiet drift of cold air, the soft settling of snow grains. Sound travels differently here. There aren't many surfaces to catch it, and the wide space seems to absorb everything. Even silence has room to stretch out and get comfortable. Underneath all this calm is a simple truth. Antarctica is shaped by cycles, light and darkness, freeze and thaw. The slow movement of ice from land to sea, the gentle rise and fall of tides that tug at the edges of the frozen world. And life here follows those rhythms, not with struggle, but with adaptation, like a dancer moving with the music instead of against it. Many animals time their routines with the seasons, when the sun returns, when the sea opens, when food becomes easier to find. It's all very practical, very patient. If nature had a planner, Antarctica would be the page with a lot of blank space, minimal notes, big margins, plenty of room to breathe. And honestly, it looks like a healthier schedule. So as we move through this landscape, we do it slowly. We notice textures, the faint sparkle of snow under moonlight, the glassy edge of ice where it meets water, the soft mist that sometimes rises near openings in the sea, ice, like a quiet sigh. And we keep the tone unhurried, because Antarctica itself is unhurried. It doesn't push the moment forward. It lets the moment arrive on its own. Now, with this world set around us, cold, clean, calm, we begin our gentle exploration. We drift toward the first signs of life in the polar night. We begin with the simplest meeting, ice and sea, resting together like old friends who don't need to talk much anymore. At the edge of the sea ice, the world makes a soft boundary. Snow fades into a smooth, pale shelf. Beneath it, dark water moves in gentle, lazy folds, the way a blanket settles after you exhale. The tide doesn't announce itself. It simply arrives, lifting and lowering the ice with a slow patience, like the ocean is rocking the whole continent to sleep. If you listen closely, no effort, just listening, you can hear tiny sounds that feel almost private. A faint crackle, a soft tap as ice touches ice, the low hush of water sliding past. It's not a soundtrack. It's more like the world humming to itself. Sea ice is not one solid, unchanging thing. It forms, thickens, shifts, and sometimes breaks into plates that drift side by side. These plates are called pancake ice when they're small and rounded, and it's one of those names that makes Antarctica sound briefly like breakfast. Imagine the coldest place on Earth, quietly serving pancakes, with no syrup and absolutely no complaints. Tonight, though, the ice seems settled. The surface holds a faint sheen under the moon, and in places it looks almost porcelain, smooth, pale, and softly reflective. The wind moves over it in a light sweep, tracing shallow ripples and loose snow, as if brushing flour across a countertop. This edge, where frozen meets fluid, is where so much of Antarctica's rhythm lives. Even when everything looks still, the ocean underneath continues its slow work. It carries warmth, cold, nutrients, and tiny drifting life through the water. It shapes the underside of the ice in gentle curves, carving little hollows and shelves that become hidden spaces, quiet architecture beneath the surface. And in those hidden spaces, the polar world begins. Small organisms drift, feed, and glow faintly in the dark water. Not in a flashy way, more like the ocean has a few sleepy nightlights installed, just enough to make the darkness feel friendly. As you picture this boundary, let your breathing match it. Inhale like the tide coming in. Exhale like it easing back out. Nothing forced, nothing counted. Just a slow agreement with the world's pace. This is how Antarctica teaches rest, through repetition, through steady cycles, through motion that never insists. We drift onward, along this calm edge, where the ice holds the night and the sea quietly carries it. Now we glide closer to the icebergs, the pale drifting monuments of the Southern Ocean. In the dim light, they rise from the water with a calm confidence. Some are low and broad, like floating fields. Others lift into tall faces and rounded domes, their surfaces carved into gentle ridges and smooth slopes. Moonlight touches them in soft gradients, turning their edges into quiet silver lines. These icebergs begin their story on land. Over time, snow settles and compresses, layer after layer, becoming ice, dense, ancient, and quietly blue. Eventually, parts of that ice move outward, reaching the sea, where large pieces break away and begin their slow drift. Not as an escape, not as a chase, just as the next calm chapter. And drifting is truly what they do best. They move with the ocean's currents and the wind's soft influence, turning gradually, sliding forward, almost imperceptibly. Sometimes an iceberg's shape is so balanced and smooth that it seems to float as if it knows exactly how to be carried. Like it took a course called Relaxation 101 and got top marks. If you look closely, you can see small details that make each iceberg feel like a sculpture. A shallow arch like a doorway, a ledge like a balcony, a shadowed groove like a hallway. The ocean and air work together to shape them, water washing, wind polishing, temperature smoothing edges into roundness. Some icebergs show pale white surfaces where snow still clings. Others reveal blue ice, compressed and clean, reflecting light in a deeper tone. That blue isn't paint or magic. It comes from density. When ice becomes more compact, it absorbs more of the red part of light and lets more blue return to your eyes. Antarctica, apparently, is very good at subtle color theory. As these ice cathedrals drift, they influence the water around them. They release fresh meltwater slowly, and that gentle change in the water's saltiness can affect how the ocean layers mix. It's quiet, gradual, and important in the way so many natural processes are, like a small adjustment in a blanket that makes the whole bed feel better. And as we float alongside them in our imagination, the question from earlier stays near us. What does it mean to belong without needing to prove anything? The iceberg belongs to the sea now. It doesn't perform. It doesn't explain itself. It simply drifts, and the ocean makes room. Let your mind do the same. Drift. Turn slowly. Let thoughts pass like clouds crossing the moon. No need to catch them. No need to finish them. We continue onward, moving from these towering forms toward the living coastline, where the ice meets creatures who have made calm routines in the cold. The coastline of Antarctica is not always a clear line. Sometimes it's a gentle transition. Snow leading into sea ice leading into water, with quiet breaks and scattered chunks that look like the world set down a handful of white stones. In this dim light, the shore feels like a calm, sleeping animal, broad-backed and still, covered in a thick coat of snow. The surface is textured in small ways, wind-made ripples, shallow drifts, faint curves where snow has gathered behind a ridge. Everything is softened, rounded, and smooth, as if sharpness simply isn't fashionable here. Along the edges, the ice sometimes forms low cliffs, where it meets the water in a pale wall. Beneath that edge, dark sea moves slowly, occasionally lifting a small wave that taps the ice with a quiet knock, polite, never demanding. And here, on this soft white shore, signs of life can be subtle. A faint trail across snow, a smooth hollow where something rested, a cluster of marks like little commas in a sentence the wind is still reading. Antarctica's animals are not noisy about their presence. They don't scatter confetti. They leave small evidence, tracks, breathing holes, and resting places like gentle signatures. Sometimes, far away, you might notice a group of shapes on the ice, seals resting in a calm pile, like warm stones placed in the moonlight. They spend long stretches simply being still, conserving energy, letting their bodies do what bodies do best: recover, regulate, and rest. If they had phones, they would definitely be the type to set "Do Not Disturb" and mean it. The science of survival here is often the science of saving energy. In cold environments, warmth is precious. Movement is chosen carefully. Rest is not laziness, it's wisdom. It's a quiet strategy that feels almost familiar, like your own body asking for softness when the day has been long. In the distance, the sea continues its slow movement, and the air continues its quiet flow. There's a sense of steadiness, like the whole landscape is holding the listener with both hands. And if you're listening from somewhere warm, somewhere busy, somewhere full of bright screens and quick sounds, you can still borrow this atmosphere. You can let this shore exist inside your mind, pale, calm, and spacious. Take a slow breath in and out. The shoreline stays. The moon stays. The cold stays, but it feels gentle, more like crisp, clean sheets than anything harsh. And as we drift along the coast, we begin to notice the life that moves between ice and sea. Creatures adapted not for drama, but for quiet routine. Out on the sea ice, the first living shapes we meet are low and rounded, like smooth stones that have decided to breathe. Seals rest here in a way that feels almost instructional. Their bodies settle into the snow with an easy heaviness, as if gravity is a friend they've known for a long time. Some lie on their sides, some face the wind, and some seem to choose positions that can only be described as extremely committed to comfort. In Antarctica, resting is not a break from life. Resting is part of life. It's woven into the rhythm of survival the way sleep is woven into your own day, quietly essential, gently non-negotiable. Seals come up to the ice to breathe, to warm slightly in the still air, and to conserve energy. Their bodies are built for the cold. A thick layer of blubber helps hold warmth in, like a natural blanket that never slips off at night. Even their shape helps, rounded, smooth, efficient, less surface area to lose heat, more quiet warmth held close. And they move between two worlds with calm practicality. Above the water, they are still, restful, almost dreamy. Below the water, they can swim with graceful ease, using their bodies like soft torpedoes through dark ocean space. Yet there's no need to picture speed tonight. Instead, imagine them gliding as if the sea itself is carrying them, slow, steady, unhurried. Sometimes a seal lifts its head, blinks at the moonlight, then lets its chin sink back down like it remembered something important. Ah, yes, resting. If you've ever tried to lie down and then immediately started thinking about every awkward conversation you've had since 2009, seals would like to gently remind you. You can simply stop. They don't replay social interactions. They don't write drafts of future arguments in their minds. They are very advanced in this one area. Near the edge of the ice, some seals rest close to breathing holes. openings they maintain in the ice where they can return to the surface. These holes are practical places, like quiet doorways between water and air. The ocean provides food below, and the ice provides rest above. Two calm rooms in the same house. And in the hush around them, the question from earlier floats back into view. What does it mean to belong without needing to prove anything? The seal belongs to this ice simply by being itself. It doesn't explain. It doesn't rush. It rests. Let your shoulders soften as you listen. Let your breath slow, like the seal's steady breathing in the moonlit air. We drift onward now, following the gentle presence of life along the ice edge, toward birds that move like quiet punctuation in the polar sky. Above the ice, the sky holds a different kind of movement, light, slow, and almost effortless. Seabirds in Antarctica often travel in wide arcs, gliding over open water and ice. In the dim light, their bodies become silhouettes, dark shapes crossing pale horizons, like ink strokes drawn carefully across the page of night. Their wings catch the wind, and for long moments they seem to float rather than flap. It's the kind of energy-saving travel that feels wise and calm, like they've read the manual on how to move through life without unnecessary effort. Some seabirds spend much of their time at sea, returning to land or ice when the season asks them to. Their world is water, wind, and the shifting edge where ice breaks into open ocean. And when they call, softly, distantly, it doesn't feel like noise. It feels like the landscape speaking in a gentle accent. In Antarctica, sound often arrives softened by distance. A call comes across the cold air like a thread of music, and then it fades, leaving the space quiet again. The silence here isn't empty. It's roomy. It gives every small sound the dignity of being heard. If you imagine a bird settling onto the ice, it does so with a careful lightness, adjusting its balance in tiny steps. There's something almost polite about it, like it's trying not to disturb the snow. The bird tucks its head slightly, feathers puffing just enough to trap warmth close to the body, like a scarf made of air. Feathers are one of nature's quiet masterpieces. They can repel water, trap insulating air, and still allow a bird to remain light enough to glide. It's a soft kind of engineering, done with patience and time rather than metal and bolts. And yes, sometimes birds look like they're wearing formal outfits, a dark back, a pale front, a neat little silhouette. Antarctica has many creatures that dress like they're attending a very calm gala. And nobody is overdressed, because the theme is always weather appropriate. As you picture these birds in the polar sky, let your mind follow their slow arcs. Thoughts can glide too. They can rise, drift, and settle without effort. Inhale gently and exhale slowly. The birds drift onward. The sea continues its quiet rocking, and the ice holds steady under moonlight. And as we move along this edge of the world, we begin to notice the tiny life beneath the surface. Small drifting organisms that feed larger stories, all without hurry. Now we let our attention sink beneath the ice edge, into the water that looks black from above, but is quietly alive. In polar seas, much of life begins small. Tiny organisms drift through the water like soft dust motes in a beam of light. They move with currents more than with intention, carried gently from place to place. In a world this cold, drifting is not passive. It's a perfectly reasonable lifestyle choice. Some of these small organisms are plankton, microscopic plants and animals that form the foundation of ocean food webs. When conditions are right, they grow in quiet abundance, turning sunlight and nutrients into living energy. It's a simple process, repeated year after year, like a seasonal recipe the ocean never forgets. And sometimes, in dark water, you might notice a faint glow. Not a spotlight glow, not a party glow, more like the ocean turned on a small nightlight so nobody bumps into the furniture. Bioluminescence, light made by living organisms, can appear in certain plankton and marine creatures. It's a soft phenomenon, and in the imagination, it feels especially gentle. Tiny sparkles in the water that blink and fade, like slow stars stirred into ink. But even without glow, the water holds quiet motion. Cold currents slide beneath the ice. Small creatures swim in careful patterns. The sea is never fully still. It simply moves in a way that doesn't demand your attention. And that can be comforting, because sometimes the mind tries to be loud, tries to solve, to plan, to replay, to worry. Antarctica offers a different lesson. Much of life happens without noise, without inner commentary, without a running spreadsheet of what if. Here, the ocean does what oceans do. It circulates, it carries, it nourishes, it settles. Above, the ice forms a roof that muffles sound and dims the light. Beneath, the water becomes a slow hallway of movement, dark, steady, and full of quiet continuity. If you imagine yourself floating here, not cold, not uncomfortable, just peacefully present, you might feel that familiar sense of being held. The sea supports, the ice shelters, the world becomes a gentle container. And again, the question returns, soft as breath. What does it mean to belong without needing to prove anything? The plankton belongs without being seen. The currents belong without being thanked. The ocean belongs without needing applause. And you, listening now, belong in this moment too, simply because you are here. Let your breathing continue. Slow and steady, we drift upward again toward the surface, where the ice carries signs of movement, subtle tracks, small marks, quiet stories written in snow. On the pale surface of Antarctica, even the smallest mark can feel like a story. Snow is a kind of paper here, soft, bright, and ready to record whatever passes by. A breeze draws gentle lines. A drifting flake lands and disappears into the texture, and when an animal moves across the ice, it leaves behind footprints like careful punctuation. Tracks don't shout. They simply remain. A series of impressions leading from one quiet place to another. Some tracks are small and neat, like dots pressed into the snow. Others show a gentle slide, as if the traveler decided walking was optional and gliding was more in the spirit of the evening. Honestly, sliding is a reasonable choice. If Antarctica teaches anything, it's that you should take the smooth path when it's available. A track can tell simple truths. Something came this way, something paused, something rested, something returned to the sea. It's a calm kind of evidence, no drama, no urgency, just the quiet record of routine. And routine is the real heartbeat of the wild. When we imagine life in extreme places, we sometimes expect constant challenge. But much of the time, animals are simply doing what works, conserving energy, moving when needed, resting when possible, following rhythms that have been shaped over generations. The snow holds these rhythms gently. A trail might lead toward a breathing hole in the ice where a seal surfaces. Another trail might circle a resting spot, an area slightly smoothed as if someone pressed a soft pillow into the snow. The landscape becomes a calm diary, written without words. As you listen, you can let your own mind become like snow, soft, receptive, and quiet. Thoughts can land, then fade. Memories can appear like faint tracks, then disappear under the next gentle drift of calm. If a thought shows up that feels heavy, you don't need to wrestle it. You can simply notice it, the way you would notice a footprint. Something passed through here. And then you let the wind of your breathing soften the edges. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. Somewhere in the distance, an iceberg continues its slow drift. The ocean continues its quiet rocking. A bird passes overhead like a small shadow moving through calm air. The world keeps its pace, steady and kind. And we continue our journey too, drifting toward places where the ice opens into water, polynyas and leads, dark seams in the frozen surface that feel like quiet windows into the sea. As we move across the sea ice, we begin to notice something that feels like a gentle surprise. Openings. Not wide, dramatic gaps, just narrow seams of dark water, like the ice has unbuttoned a small part of its coat. These openings can form when wind and currents shift the ice, or when warmer water rises from below. They are called leads, and sometimes larger open areas are called polynyas. They look almost like quiet rivers running through the frozen world. In the moonlight, the open water is very dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. But it doesn't feel threatening. It feels like depth, like a calm doorway. The surface moves in slow ripples, and at the edges, thin new ice sometimes forms, a delicate skin that appears and disappears, as if the sea is practicing gentle sketches. These openings matter to life here. They offer breathing space for seals. They offer access for birds that feed at sea. They allow warmth and moisture to rise, changing the air above them in subtle ways. A lead is a small shift in the landscape, but it creates a little pocket of possibility. And yet, everything remains quiet. The water doesn't rush to claim space. The ice doesn't panic about the opening. They coexist, adjusting gently, like two neighbors who've lived beside each other for a long time and understand that change is normal. If you sit with the image of a dark lead in the ice, it can feel like a symbol of rest too. Because a mind, like a landscape, doesn't need to be fully frozen into one shape. It can have openings, soft places, quiet windows where breath can move. Maybe that's one meaning of belonging, not being rigid, not being forced into proving solidity, but being allowed to have gentle space inside you. Space where calm can surface. A bird might skim near the opening, wings steady. A seal might lift its head briefly in the water, then sink again, like a slow punctuation mark in the ocean sentence. And in these moments, everything feels unhurried. The world is simply doing what it does. If you've been holding tension in your body, let this place teach you something simple. Loosen. Let the shoulders drop a little. Let the forehead smooth. Let the jaw unclench. Inhale slowly and exhale. The lead remains dark and calm. The ice remains pale and quiet. The ocean continues its gentle movement under it all. And we drift onward, following this seam of open water as it guides us toward deeper life below. Creatures of the Southern Ocean, moving through cold water with patient grace. Now we let our attention sink again, down through the dark seam of open water, into the Southern Ocean beneath. From above, the surface looks almost still, but below, the water is quietly layered, moving in slow, careful paths. Cold water slides beneath slightly less cold water. Salty water settles differently than fresher water. The ocean organizes itself with gentle physics, like a calm librarian placing books back onto shelves. No rush, no scolding, just steady order. In this depth, light is dim. Moonlight becomes a faint memory, thinning into a soft gray-blue haze. Shapes appear as suggestions, a drifting strand, a slow turn, a small shimmer that could be a bubble, or a tiny creature catching what little light remains. Here, movement feels slower, not because everything is slow, but because the water smooths the edges of motion. Even when something swims, the ocean wraps around it and quiets the scene. Many Antarctic animals rely on this sea. It is their pantry, their road, their shelter. Yet the ocean never looks busy. It doesn't look like a marketplace. It looks like a deep, cool hallway where everything moves with polite spacing. And in the imagination, this can feel soothing, because the mind also moves in layers, some thoughts near the surface, some deeper down. If the surface feels a bit restless, the deeper layers can still be calm. Like the ocean, you can be gently organized inside, even if you've had a day that felt tangled. As we drift here, we notice small life again, tiny organisms drifting, feeding, floating. There's a quiet generosity in their presence. They are the soft foundation of larger stories. Fish, birds, seals, whales. A whole world built on small, steady things. Sometimes that's how rest works too. Not one big dramatic change, but small supportive moments. A slower breath, a softened shoulder, a gentler thought. And the question returns, soft, patient. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? The ocean belongs by continuing, by circulating, by holding life in its quiet layers. No announcements, no slogans, just presence. So let yourself be present too. Inhale, slow as sinking. Exhale, slow as rising. And as we rise again toward the surface, we begin to imagine larger forms, shadows that travel through the polar sea with graceful calm, like long stories moving through dark water. Somewhere in the wide Southern Ocean, a large presence moves. You might not see it clearly at first, perhaps only a suggestion, an elongated shadow below the surface, gliding through the dark water like a slow thought passing through the mind. Whales in Antarctic waters often follow seasonal rhythms, drawn by food that becomes abundant when the ocean turns generous with life. They travel long distances, but tonight we don't picture travel as effort. We picture it as drifting, steady, patient, guided by currents, memory, and the quiet logic of survival. A whale moves with an ease that feels almost impossible for its size. The body glides forward, tail lifting and pressing down in slow pulses that ripple through the water like soft drums. Each motion is efficient, calm, and unhurried, as if the whale is simply agreeing with the ocean's shape. When it surfaces, it does so gently, a slow rise, a small break of water, a breath that becomes a pale cloud in the cold air, then dissolves. The sound can be a soft exhale, not loud, more like the ocean sighing, and then the whale sinks again, returning to the quiet below. There is something deeply comforting about an animal that large, behaving with such softness. It feels like a reminder. Power does not have to be loud. Presence does not need to take up emotional space. You can be strong and still be gentle. You can be large in your life and still be calm inside. If whales had life advice, it might be simply breathe, then drift, which is surprisingly good advice. We don't need many facts here. It's enough to hold the image. A whale moving through Antarctic water like a slow hymn, written in muscle and breath. And if your thoughts begin to wander, let them wander the same way, slowly, safely, without sharp corners. Inhale, like the whale rising. Exhale, like the whale sinking. Above, the ice remains pale and quiet. Below, the ocean continues its steady layers of motion. And in between, life moves with rhythms older than any busy calendar. We continue now, drifting toward the places where ice and water meet again, where breathing holes and edges become small, important doorways for the animals who rest on the frozen surface. Back at the ice edge, the sea ice looks solid and quiet. Yet scattered across it are places where the frozen surface opens, small round holes or narrow cracks, maintained like tiny doorways between water and air. For seals, these openings are essential. They allow breath. They allow return. They allow life to move between two calm rooms, the ocean below and the ice above. A breathing hole is a simple thing, but it carries a kind of comfort. It's a reminder that even in a world that looks sealed and still, there are openings built into the design. A seal may surface here with little fanfare. First, a soft ripple. Then a head appears, wet and shining in moonlight. Whiskers catch a few tiny droplets. Eyes blink slowly, as if checking the night. The seal breathes, steady, measured, and then sinks again, leaving the surface to smooth itself back into quiet. There's no drama in the movement, just routine. Just the calm maintenance of being alive. In cold climates, animals often manage their energy carefully. That means they don't waste motion. They don't do extra. They don't pace around to feel productive. They rest when rest is available. They breathe when breath is needed. They keep life simple. If you've ever felt guilty for resting, Antarctica would like to gently disagree with you. A breathing hole can also freeze over, forming a thin layer that must be broken again. Some seals keep these openings clear by pushing upward, using their bodies and claws to maintain the doorway. It's steady work, but it's done without haste, just patient maintenance, like clearing a path in snow with a quiet understanding. This is how we live here. And maybe that's another meaning of belonging, not proving yourself, not performing, just tending to the small doorways you need: breath, rest, warmth, calm. So as you listen, think of your own breathing hole, your own little opening in the day where you can return to air, This moment can be that opening. Inhale slowly and exhale gently. The ice remains still. The ocean remains calm. The seal remains unhurried. And we drift onward again, following the edge where birds gather near open water and where the sea offers food in quiet abundance, like a pantry that restocks itself on nature's schedule. Along the boundary where ice meets open water, life gathers, not in a loud crowd, but in a calm convergence. This edge is often where food becomes accessible. Beneath the surface, tiny organisms drift and grow. Small fish follow. Birds glide overhead, scanning the water in slow, thoughtful arcs. Seals move through the dark sea like quiet commas, surfacing now and then without ceremony. It's less like a bustling cafeteria and more like a peaceful shoreline picnic, quiet, spaced out, with everyone politely minding their own business. Some birds dip toward the water, taking what they need in quick, efficient moments, then rising back into the air to settle on the ice. The ice edge offers both, a place to rest and a place to feed. It's a gentle pairing, like having your bed and your kitchen close together. Antarctica values convenience, but in a very minimalist, no extra decor way. Below, the ocean holds layers of life that move with seasons and light. When sunlight returns more strongly in warmer months, the ocean can bloom with microscopic plant life. That growth supports everything else, forming a quiet chain of nourishment. Even in the cold, even in the dark, the system continues, patient, steady, repeating. Watching this in your mind can feel strangely calming because it reminds you that nature doesn't panic about supply. It adapts, it shifts, it flows, and you can too. You don't need to gather everything at once. You don't need to catch up to some invisible timeline. Antarctica doesn't do timelines. It does cycles. If your thoughts feel hungry for certainty, for closure, for answers, you can offer them something simpler: slow breathing, soft images, quiet repetition. Inhale and exhale. The birds glide. The seals surface. The water lifts and settles at the ice edge like a gentle pulse. And somewhere in that rhythm, belonging feels less like a test and more like a natural state, a quiet permission. We drift onward now toward a different kind of soundscape. Places where ice makes small noises, where the frozen world speaks in crackles and whispers, like a sleeping house settling at night. If you spend enough time near sea ice, you begin to notice that it has a voice. Not a voice made of words, but a voice made of small sounds, crackles, pops, faint groans, and gentle taps. The ice speaks in the way old wood floors speak at night, not to alarm you, but to remind you that the world is still alive, still adjusting, still settling. Temperature shifts can cause ice to expand and contract. Tides can lift it slightly, then ease it down. Pressure between plates of ice can create tiny fractures that make brief, delicate snaps. None of it feels urgent tonight. It feels like the landscape stretching in its sleep. Sometimes a long, low sound carries across the surface, a soft groan that fades into silence. It can sound dramatic if you imagine it dramatically, but we won't. We'll imagine it as a deep yawn. Antarctica, like any tired person, occasionally needs to stretch. And if you listen to these sounds in your mind, they can become part of your own settling. A reminder that relaxation isn't always perfectly silent. Bodies make noises too. Joints shift. Breath moves. Blankets rustle. All normal. All safe. The ice's language is also a sign of structure. Sea ice is not one unbroken sheet. It's a patchwork of plates and ridges, areas where ice has piled up into small frozen hills called pressure ridges. These ridges form when moving ice meets moving ice, pushing and stacking. But we don't need to picture force, just the result. A textured surface, a gentle frozen landscape of lumps and curves. Under moonlight, these ridges cast soft shadows. The whole scene looks like a quiet quilt, stitched together by wind, water, and time. And as the ice shifts and settles, it continues to hold space for life. Resting seals, passing birds, hidden water corridors below. This is belonging too. Not staying perfectly still, but adjusting gently while remaining part of the whole. So if your mind has been shifting today, changing plans, changing moods, changing thoughts, let this be a soft comfort. You can shift and still belong. You can settle and still be alive. Inhale, slow and easy. Exhale, softer still. The ice crackles faintly, like a small, friendly acknowledgement. The ocean breathes beneath it. The night rests above it, and we drift onward, deeper into the Antarctic world, toward the quiet companionship of penguins, whose routines feel like little warm jokes written into the cold. Now we meet a presence that feels almost like a friendly signature of Antarctica: penguins. In the dim polar light, they appear as small, upright shapes against the snow. Dark backs, pale fronts, tidy silhouettes. They look like they're dressed for a very polite evening event, even though the venue is ice and the refreshments are mostly fish. A penguin's walk is unhurried, a gentle waddle that seems to accept gravity with humor. Step, pause. Step, pause. Sometimes it looks like they're considering each footfall as a thoughtful choice, which is relatable, honestly. If you've ever walked across a slick floor while pretending you're completely fine, you already understand penguin energy. Penguins are birds, but they've traded flight for swimming. Their wings have become flippers, strong, streamlined, built to move through water with smooth efficiency. In the ocean, they glide like little torpedoes. But tonight, we keep the image calm. Slow arcs under the surface, easy turns, a body moving as if the sea is a supportive corridor. On land or ice, they gather in groups, sometimes close together. Not for drama, but for warmth and social comfort. In cold air, being near others helps conserve heat. It's practical, yes, but it also looks tender. A quiet community of small bodies standing close, like a living quilt. They preen their feathers with care, keeping them clean and aligned. Feathers hold a layer of insulating air and can repel water when properly maintained. It's a gentle routine, quiet, repetitive, soothing to watch, like someone slowly smoothing their hair before bed, not because they must, but because it feels right. And penguins have a kind of calm determination in their routines. They return to familiar places. They recognize each other by calls and patterns. They tend to follow rhythms that work again and again, year after year. If the world around you has felt unpredictable lately, penguins offer a small comfort. Some things still repeat. Some things still return. Some things still do the simple work of being alive, and they do it without pretending to be perfect. Penguins fall sometimes. They slip. They wobble, they shake off snow, and continue. It's almost like Antarctica included them to remind us. Grace can be very funny and still be grace. So let your breath become slow and easy, like their steady pace across the ice. Inhale, step, exhale, step. And as we drift onward, we stay near this gentle community, listening to their soft sounds, their quiet movement, their calm presence in the frozen night. Penguin colonies are not silent, but their noise doesn't feel harsh tonight. It feels like life speaking in simple syllables. In the distance, you might hear calls, short, rhythmic sounds carried through cold air. They rise and fall like a gentle chorus, not a concert, not a performance, more like a neighborhood where everyone recognizes each other by voice. These calls help penguins locate mates, chicks, and familiar companions in a crowd of similar shapes. In a landscape where snow and ice can look endless, sound becomes a kind of thread, something to follow back to connection. And the idea of connection is calming here. Antarctica can appear vast and empty, but within that vastness, life gathers in small pockets of warmth. Communities form where conditions allow. A colony becomes a small village in the cold, built not from walls, but from presence. Penguins also communicate with body language, little head movements, posture shifts, gentle nuzzles. The details can feel almost domestic. A small greeting, a pause, a shared stillness. It's nature's version of saying, "I'm here. You're here. Good." If you imagine them standing together under moonlight, feathers slightly puffed, bodies close, you might notice how much calm can exist inside a group. Not every gathering needs excitement. Some gatherings are simply a shared quiet, and that can be a soft permission for you too. You don't have to entertain the world. You don't have to sparkle. You can simply exist alongside others, quietly. The calls continue, then fade. The wind carries them away, and the night returns to spacious silence. Inhale and exhale. There's humor here too if you want it, because penguins sometimes sound like tiny, squeaky toys with excellent self-confidence. You can almost imagine them thinking, "Yes, this is my voice, and I will use it." But even that feels gentle, like laughter under a blanket, soft, muffled, safe. As we drift past the colony, we notice the landscape around it. Snow packed down by many small feet, paths leading toward the sea, and the steady pull of routine. Penguins move between land and water like commuters with a very minimalist wardrobe. And beyond them, the ocean waits, dark, calm, layered. A place where food is found, where bodies glide, where the cold becomes a soft medium rather than a harsh one. So we continue, following the calm trails that lead toward the water's edge, where penguins step into the sea with quiet certainty, as if it's simply the next room. At the shoreline, the transition from ice to water looks simple, just an edge, a thin boundary. For a penguin, it's a doorway. One moment, it stands on the ice, body upright, head tilted as if listening. The next, it slips into the sea with a smooth movement that feels almost effortless. In the imagination, it's not a dramatic plunge. It's a gentle entry, like stepping into a bath that's already prepared. Underwater, the penguin becomes a different kind of shape. It glides, flippers sweeping in calm strokes. The body is streamlined, built for this. The ocean holds it the way air holds a bird. Movement becomes quiet and continuous. And here, The science is simple and soothing. Penguins are adapted to keep warm in cold water. Their feathers are dense and layered, trapping insulating air. Their bodies manage heat carefully. They are designed to spend time in this chilly world without constant strain. So the penguin swims, and the sea becomes its soft corridor. Above, the ice remains pale and still. Below, the water is dark and spacious. And between them, the penguin moves as if it belongs to both. That idea, belonging to more than one world, feels gentle in the chest, because you too belong to more than one state, waking and sleeping, busy and resting, thinking and letting go. You don't have to pick one forever. You can drift between them, returning to rest when you need it. As the penguin glides, it may chase small fish or krill in real life. But tonight, we won't chase. We won't hurry. We'll simply observe the quiet grace of motion, the way the body turns, the way bubbles rise, the way the sea wraps around everything with a muffling softness. Let your thoughts glide like that. No sharp turns, no racing, just slow arcs. Inhale, steady. Exhale, longer. And if your mind wants to follow the penguin deeper, it can. Down into dim water, where light becomes faint and everything looks like a soft shadow. Down where the ocean feels like a cradle. But soon, the penguin rises again. It returns to the surface, to air, to the ice edge. It repeats the cycle, not because it's forced, but because it's natural. Antarctica is full of cycles like this: water and ice, breath and silence, movement and rest. And we continue along the shore, following the quiet abundance of the sea, toward the tiny creatures that feed this whole world, like soft grains of life drifting through the water. In the Southern Ocean, one of the most important creatures is also one of the smallest: krill. Krill are tiny shrimp-like animals that drift in huge numbers, forming a living foundation for much of Antarctic life. Whales, seals, penguins, and many seabirds rely on them. It's a quiet truth of nature. Sometimes the biggest stories are supported by the smallest characters. Krill feed on microscopic plant life, especially during seasons when sunlight returns and ocean blooms become more abundant. They drift through cold water in slow swarms, moving with the currents, gathering food in steady routines that don't look exciting, but are deeply essential. They are, in a way, the ocean's quiet pantry item, not glamorous, not flashy, just reliably there, doing their job. If krill had personalities, they might be the type who always shows up early, brings extra snacks, and never mentions it. Very dependable, slightly underappreciated. The unsung heroes of the polar sea, though they probably don't crave singing. And there is something calming about that, because it reminds us that life is not always about grand gestures. Sometimes it is about consistency, about repeating small actions that keep the system going, about being part of a network without needing to stand in the spotlight. Krill belong because they are woven into the ocean's pattern. They don't need to prove anything. They drift, they feed, they continue. And you can let that be a soft reminder. You don't have to be enormous to matter. You don't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. You can be quiet, steady, present, and that can be enough. Let your breathing slow again, following the drifting motion. Inhale, like a gentle current. Exhale, like settling. Somewhere above, a penguin surfaces. Somewhere nearby, a seal glides under ice. Somewhere farther out, a whale moves in slow, patient paths. And all of it is connected by these small, drifting creatures, by the quiet chemistry of the sea, by the steady repetition of seasons. We drift onward now, toward a softer kind of motion at the surface, where snow falls lightly, and the air carries tiny crystals that sparkle briefly before resting. Now the air itself becomes part of the lullaby. In Antarctica, snow can fall in a way that feels almost invisible, tiny crystals drifting down, not in a stormy rush, but in a slow, gentle settling. Each flake is light enough to be carried sideways by a soft breeze, then lowered as if the air is carefully placing it. Under moonlight, the snowfall can look like faint glitter moving through darkness. Quiet, delicate, brief. The flakes land on ice, on snowbanks, on the backs of resting seals, on the shoulders of penguins standing like little formal guests at an outdoor event. And the snow doesn't disturb the scene. It softens it. It fills tiny grooves. It rounds edges. It quiets footprints. It smooths the world into gentler shapes. Snow is nature's way of turning down the volume. If your mind has been busy, imagine snow falling over your thoughts, not erasing them, not fighting them, just softening their outlines, making them less sharp. Inhale and exhale. A light snowfall also changes sound. It absorbs. It hushes. It makes everything feel farther away, more muffled, more private. Even your own breathing can seem louder by comparison. Steady, soothing, real. And there's something tender about that. Your breath as the closest sound in the world. Snow crystals form in many shapes, depending on temperature and humidity. But we don't need to catalog their geometry tonight. It's enough to know that each flake is a small piece of patient physics, water turning to ice in delicate patterns, repeating a process as old as winter itself. Antarctica does not decorate itself with flowers. It decorates itself with snow, subtle, monochrome, quietly exquisite. And if you want a little humor, consider this. If snowflakes are unique, Antarctica is basically hosting the largest collection of one-of-a-kind art pieces, and then immediately placing them on the ground where someone will step on them. It's very humble art. As the snow continues its soft descent, the landscape becomes even more restful. The icebergs drift, the sea breathes, the animals settle, the sky holds steady, and we begin to feel the shift toward deeper calm, the midpoint of our journey, where the world's rhythms feel steady enough to carry you downward toward sleep. In Antarctica, light doesn't always behave the way it does elsewhere. Even at night, the world can hold a faint glow, like the sky never fully turns off the lamp, just lowers it to the gentlest setting. The moonlight stretches across snow and ice, and everything becomes shades of blue and silver. Shadows are soft, edges are blurred. The horizon looks like a quiet line drawn by a patient hand. This long blue twilight can feel like an invitation to slow down. It's as if the whole landscape is saying, there is no hurry here. There is only drifting. The icebergs out on the water take on a deeper tone, paler where light touches them, darker where their faces curve away. And the sea itself looks like dark velvet, moving in small folds. If the ocean had a bedtime routine, this would be it. a gentle rocking, a low sigh, and an unspoken promise to keep going quietly. In this light, animals seem more like shapes than details, which is perfect for rest. A seal becomes a smooth silhouette. A penguin becomes a small, upright mark on the snow. A bird becomes a faint shadow crossing the sky. And your mind can do the same. It can stop focusing on the sharp details of the day. It can soften. It can let things blur into simpler forms. That happened. I did my best. Now I rest. There's science in this softness too. Our brains relax when stimulation reduces, when the world becomes quieter, dimmer, less demanding. Antarctica, in its long twilight, is like a natural dimmer switch. So let yourself dim with it. Inhale and exhale. And if you notice thoughts rising, plans, worries, little mental lists, let them float like faint clouds in a pale sky. They don't need solutions tonight. They only need space. This is also when the question from earlier feels gentlest. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means you can exist in this blue twilight without explanation. You can be a quiet shape in the landscape of your own life. You can rest without earning it. We drift onward through this long, calm light, toward the subtle movements of the sea. Tiny waves that lap the ice like a slow, repetitive lullaby. At the ice edge, the ocean's motion becomes a kind of quiet music. Small waves lift and settle, touching the ice with gentle taps. The sound is soft, water against frozen surface. Repeating. It's like the world practicing a calming phrase over and over until you start to believe it. The waves here are not the kind that crash and throw themselves around. They are low, patient waves shaped by distance and wind. They roll in with simple steadiness, then ease back out, leaving behind a thin shine on the ice. It's easy to match your breathing to them. Inhale as the wave arrives. Exhale as it retreats. And in that repetition, your body begins to remember its own calm. The ocean also carries small pieces of ice, tiny shards, rounded plates, and slushy crystals that clink softly together. The sound can be almost like glass beads stirring in a bowl, except far gentler, far more spaced out. Antarctica's version of wind chimes, just colder and less decorative. If you imagine sitting near this ice edge, wrapped in warmth, you might notice how quickly the mind responds to repetitive, natural sound. It stops trying to invent new problems. It stops scanning for what's next. It starts to settle into the present. This is why people love rain, waterfalls, rustling leaves. The brain hears patterns and decides it can rest. Antarctica offers its own pattern. Waves, quiet taps, long pauses, and you can borrow that. If there's anything inside you that feels jagged today, let the waves smooth it, not by force, but by repetition. Like a stone slowly becoming round in a river, not because it tried harder, but because it stayed in the water long enough. Soft humor lives here too, if you want it. The ocean keeps tapping the ice like it's politely asking, "Excuse me, may I pass?" And the ice very calmly replies, "No, but you may try again in a few months." So the ocean tries again, and again, and again, and neither one seems upset. They have time, and you have time too, in this moment. No deadlines, no urgency, only the slow rise and fall of sound. We've now reached the end of our main exploration block, 20 gentle sections of drifting through Antarctica's living quiet. From here, our journey begins to expand into wonder. Philosophical reflections rooted in nature, rising gently like dusk. In Antarctica, memory is not kept in books. It's kept in layers. Snow falls, settles, compresses. A soft surface becomes a firmer sheet. A sheet becomes ice. And over time, quiet, steady time, those layers hold the record of seasons the way a tree holds rings. If you could listen closely enough, you might imagine the ice telling stories in a voice made of patience. This was a year of deeper cold. This was a year when winds came more often. This was a season of softer snowfall. Nothing dramatic, just the gentle diary of weather repeating itself in small variations. Even the landscape carries memory. Ridges remain where ice once pressed together. Smooth hollows stay where wind shaped drifts into curves. Tracks appear and vanish, but the rhythm of movement returns. Animals resting in familiar spots, the sea opening in familiar seams, the tide lifting the edge of the ice in the same slow pattern. It's comforting, this kind of memory. It doesn't cling. It doesn't demand to be reread. It simply exists, quietly preserved. And maybe your mind can learn from that, because sometimes human memory feels loud. It replays itself. It pushes to be solved. It asks for rewrites and better endings. Antarctica offers a different approach. Memory can be layered, held gently, and allowed to sit without constant attention. Imagine your own thoughts as snowfall. Each day adds a thin layer. Some days are heavier, some lighter. Over time, the layers become part of you, but they don't have to stay on the surface, sharp and immediate. They can settle into the deeper background, where they still exist, but they don't scratch at you. There's a quiet kind of healing in that. Not forgetting, just softening. And it happens the way it happens in nature. Slowly, without a timetable, without a performance. The question from earlier floats back like a small lantern. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means your life can be a landscape too, with layers, with seasons, with changes that don't require constant explanation. You belong because you've been here, because you're part of the ongoing pattern. Even the icebergs, drifting like pale cathedrals, carry memory inside them. Snow turned to ice over years, then released to the sea as a slow, floating chapter. They don't seem nostalgic about it. They don't post about it. They just drift. Honestly, Antarctica has excellent emotional boundaries. So breathe in, slow and easy, and breathe out, letting the day settle into a softer layer. We move onward now, toward another kind of memory, marks in snow, rings in ice, and the way the land quietly remembers without holding on too tightly. A footprint in Antarctica can feel like a sentence written in white, and then, quietly, the sentence fades. Wind brushes over it, snow dusts it, the edges soften. The print becomes a shallow suggestion, then a gentle dent, then nothing at all. The landscape does not cling to the mark, it allows it to pass, and yet, patterns return. Animals follow routes that make sense. Seals rest where the ice feels safe and stable. Penguins gather where colonies have formed before. Birds glide over familiar edges of open water. The ice itself repeats its seasonal routines, forming, thickening, shifting, loosening. The sea keeps breathing under it all. So there's a beautiful balance here. Small things fade, big rhythms remain. It's a lesson that can feel very soothing at bedtime, because many of our worries are like footprints, sharp for a moment, deeply felt in the present, and then slowly softened by time. They may not disappear immediately, but they almost always lose their hard edges. The mind, like wind over snow, has a way of smoothing. And what remains, what truly remains, are the patterns that support life. Breath, rest, warmth, gentle connection, steady mornings, soft nights. Antarctica lives by these patterns without argument. It doesn't debate the tide. It doesn't negotiate with the moon. It simply repeats what works. If you've been trying to hold everything perfectly, every thought, every decision, every detail, this landscape offers a different strategy. Let the small marks fade. Keep the steady rhythms. Breathing is one of those rhythms. Inhale, like the tide arriving. Exhale, like the tide easing away. Even your body has patterns it knows how to return to. The slow drop of shoulders when you feel safe, the loosening of hands, the settling of the tongue behind the teeth when the mind grows quieter. Your nervous system is basically a penguin colony, very good at returning to familiar comfort, as long as you don't interrupt it with a checklist. And the question, still gentle, still open, drifts beside you. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means you're allowed to be temporary in some ways. Your stress can be temporary. Your sharp edges can be temporary. You can belong even while changing, even while softening, even while fading into rest. Belonging doesn't always require permanence. Sometimes it requires presence. So tonight, you don't have to keep a perfect record of the day. You don't need to archive every moment. You can let the footprints soften. Let the wind of sleep move over your mind. And as those small marks fade, you can rest inside the larger pattern, the one Antarctica knows so well. Drift, settle, breathe, return. Antarctica may look simple, ice, sea, sky, but it holds a quiet intelligence, not the kind of intelligence that speaks or plans, but the kind that balances, the kind that adjusts, the kind that notices small changes and responds softly over time. In nature, this is called feedback. A system shifts and other parts shift with it. Sea ice forms, and it changes how light reflects. Water moves, and it carries warmth and nutrients. Tiny organisms grow when sunlight returns, and larger animals follow the food. Nothing announces itself. The system simply responds. It's like a calm conversation where nobody interrupts. Even the icebergs contribute. As they slowly release fresh water, they gently influence the layers of the ocean. As sea ice expands and contracts, it changes habitats at the edges. Open water appears in seams, and life gathers there. Everything is connected through small, steady cause and effect. And the calm part is this: the system doesn't react like a startled animal. It adjusts like a patient one. That kind of intelligence feels restful to imagine, because it suggests the world is not chaos. It's not random noise. It's a network of gentle relationships, constantly organizing itself. And you are part of networks too. Your body is full of feedback. Breath affects heart rate. Light affects sleepiness. Warmth affects relaxation. Silence affects thought. Your system has its own quiet intelligence. Sometimes it gets overwhelmed, yes, but it still knows how to return when given the right conditions. Tonight, we're giving it those conditions. Dim light, slow images, steady pacing, soft sound. If your mind tries to take control, tries to manage, to solve, to plan, you can let it rest and allow the deeper system to do what it already knows. Inhale slowly and exhale. That is feedback too. Breath telling the body, we are safe enough to soften. It's almost funny how quickly the body responds to kindness. You offer one calm breath, and your shoulders begin to listen. You offer one quiet minute, and the jaw begins to loosen. It's like your nervous system has been waiting politely in the lobby for someone to say, "You may sit down now." The question from earlier returns with a softer glow. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means trusting the systems that hold you. The ocean holds krill. Krill holds whales. Ice holds seals. Night holds the whole scene. And your bed, your room, holds you. You don't have to micromanage belonging. You can let it happen like feedback. Gently, naturally, quietly. In Antarctica, adaptation is not flashy. It's quiet craftsmanship. A seal carries warmth beneath the skin, like a built-in blanket. A penguin wears feathers designed to trap air and shed water. A seabird rides wind with minimal effort, gliding more than flapping, as if conserving energy is a form of elegance. None of these adaptations look like struggle tonight. They look like belonging made physical, bodies shaped over time to fit a place that asks for patience. Even the landscape adapts. Snow drifts into shapes that reduce exposure to wind. Sea ice thickens and becomes a stable platform, then loosens when the season changes. Icebergs form and drift, not as an accident, but as part of the long cycle between land and sea. Adaptation, here, feels like poetry because it's subtle. It's a series of small choices repeated over generations until the choice becomes design. And that's a soothing thought for a human listener, because you also adapt more than you notice. You learn rhythms. You find routines that help. You build small habits that keep you warm inside. A cup of tea, a familiar song, a certain way of arranging your pillow, a particular corner of your mind you visit when you need calm. Sometimes we only notice our adaptations when we're tired. But tiredness is not failure. It's simply feedback, your body saying, let's return to the basics. And Antarctica is the masterclass in basics. Warmth, rest, timing, patience. If you imagine a penguin colony, you can see timing in action. Gathering, moving, pausing, returning. If you imagine seals resting, you see energy saved without guilt. If you imagine whales surfacing, you see breath taken without panic, just steady oxygen, steady continuation. There's a gentle humor in how obvious nature can be. Animals do not write motivational quotes about grinding. They simply do what works and then lie down. They are, frankly, very anti-hustle. And maybe that's why they feel so comforting at night. They remind us that life can be simpler than the mind insists. The question from earlier drifts by again. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means adapting quietly without turning it into a performance. It means doing what supports you, sleep, breath, softness, without needing permission. Tonight, your adaptation can be rest. Inhale and exhale. Let your body do what it's been designed to do. Settle, recover, drift toward sleep the way an iceberg drifts toward open water, slowly, naturally, without trying to impress anyone. Antarctica is a place where slowness feels normal. Ice forms slowly. Snow gathers gradually. The sea moves in wide, patient currents. Even the animals, when they rest, look like they have all the time in the world, because in a way, their survival depends on choosing the right pace. Slowness here is not a lack. It's a strategy. It's a kindness. In many human lives, speed becomes a habit. Even when we lie down, the mind keeps running, planning tomorrow, replaying today, inventing imaginary conversations, building little castles out of what if. Antarctica offers a different environment for the mind, a landscape where speed doesn't make sense. There is nothing to chase in moonlight across the ice. There is only the steady return of tide, the slow drift of iceberg, the calm breath of a seal, the gentle regrouping of penguins. When you picture it long enough, your own inner pace begins to match. Inhale, slow as snow falling. Exhale, slower still. Slowness also has a texture. It feels like softened edges, rounded corners, longer pauses. It feels like giving your attention fewer places to go. It feels like allowing silence to be part of the story. And perhaps the most restful part is this. In slowness, you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to be impressive. You don't have to be on. Even the icebergs, those drifting cathedrals, do not attempt greatness. They simply exist, and that is enough to make them beautiful. Sometimes, nature's best lesson is embarrassingly simple. Rest works. If you need a tiny bit of humor before sleep takes you deeper, consider this. Moss is famous for being slow and successful, and Antarctica basically said, let's build an entire continent around that vibe. It's a bold design choice, extremely committed, very consistent, and in that commitment, there is peace. So let your body take the hint. Let your breathing lengthen. Let your thoughts become fewer and softer. Let the day slow down inside you, like water settling in a glass. The question from earlier remains, but it no longer asks for an answer. It simply rests beside you. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Maybe it means you can slow down and still be whole. And now, we drift onward into the next reflections. Quiet cooperation, returning seasons, and the gentle art of letting go. In Antarctica, cooperation doesn't look like a meeting. It looks like closeness. Penguins stand together to share warmth, bodies pressed gently side by side. Seals rest in places where the ice is stable, where the landscape offers shelter from wind. Tiny organisms bloom when light returns, feeding creatures larger than themselves, as if the ocean is quietly passing a warm bowl from hand to hand. Nature here is not loud about teamwork. It simply connects. Even the cold itself encourages cooperation. Warmth is precious, so animals do what works. Gather, rest, align. They don't argue about it. They don't negotiate the terms. They accept that togetherness is a kind of practical comfort. And there's something soothing about that acceptance. Because human life sometimes makes cooperation feel complicated, full of expectations and misunderstandings and the occasional awkward group chat. Antarctica offers a softer version, cooperation without commentary. If you imagine a penguin colony in the blue twilight, it looks like a living patch of darkness on the snow. Individuals shift gently, making room, adjusting the shape of the group. It's a constant, quiet dance. Small steps, small changes, the whole group staying warm through simple proximity. No one is giving speeches. No one is presenting slides. They just stand. And in standing, they help each other. That can feel like a kind bedtime lesson too. You don't have to carry everything alone. Even if you're listening in solitude, you are part of a quiet human pattern. People around the world seeking rest, softness, peace, a shared need, a shared rhythm. If this channel feels like that kind of quiet campfire, consider yourself warmly included. No pressure, no performance, just a place to return when you want the night to feel gentler. Inhale and exhale. In the ocean, cooperation looks different, but just as steady. Krill feed on microscopic life. Larger animals feed on krill. Nutrients cycle through water, returning again and again. The system supports itself through countless small exchanges that no one applauds, yet everything depends on. It's not a battlefield, it's a network, and you can be a network too. Your breath supporting your heart, your rest supporting your mind, your calm supporting tomorrow. The question from earlier drifts by with a softer smile. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means you can belong simply by being part of the quiet exchange of care, receiving rest, offering yourself kindness, letting the world hold you for a while. So let yourself be held the way penguins are held by their group, the way the sea holds its drifting life. And we drift onward toward the seasons, those slow returning patterns that shape this world like a gentle clock with no ticking sound. Antarctica is a place of strong seasons, but it expresses them with patience. Light returns, light fades, sea ice grows and spreads, sea ice loosens and retreats. Animals follow these shifts, not with urgency, but with timing, like they're listening to a familiar song and moving when the next verse begins. When the sun is more present, the ocean can bloom with life. Microscopic plants grow in the surface waters, and the whole system becomes richer. Birds and whales and penguins and seals are drawn toward food that becomes more available. Then, when darkness lengthens again, the world quiets and simplifies. This returning is comforting. It means the landscape is not stuck. It changes, yes, but it also repeats. Patterns come back. If you've ever felt like life is too unpredictable, Antarctica offers a calmer truth. Some things still cycle. Some things still return. Even after long darkness, light comes back. Even after heavy weather, stillness appears. And you don't have to force the return. It happens on its own time. Your own life has seasons too. Days when energy is high. Days when everything feels slower. Times when you feel social. Times when you prefer quiet. Times of growth. Times of rest. Rest is not the opposite of growth. It's one of the seasons of growth. Inhale and exhale. Let that idea settle. A winter night like this one is a season too. A season for closing your eyes. A season for letting the mind loosen its grip. A season for the body to repair itself with small invisible work. And the question from earlier, still gentle, still open, fits naturally into these cycles. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means belonging doesn't require constant brightness. You can belong in your dim seasons too. You can belong in your quiet seasons. You can belong while resting. The world is not only for doing, it is also for being. So as the Antarctic seasons turn in your imagination, let your inner season turn as well. From alertness toward calm, from thinking toward drifting, from effort toward ease. Tonight, you are allowed to be in the winter part of your day. And winter here is not harsh. It is soft. It is clean. It is spacious. We drift onward now toward the idea of life cycles, beginnings and endings that are gentle, continuous, and quietly reassuring. In nature, endings often look like transitions. In Antarctica, a season shifts and animals adjust. Sea ice expands and the shoreline changes. The ocean blooms, then quiets. Life continues, not as a straight line, but as a loop that gently returns. Even an iceberg is part of a cycle. Snow becomes ice. Ice moves to sea. Sea carries it outward. Melt returns it to water. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is hurried. It's all a slow exchange between forms. That can feel deeply comforting at night, because the mind sometimes fears endings of days, of moments, of phases. It tries to hold on. It tries to keep things from changing. But Antarctica reminds us that change can be calm. Change can be steady. Change can be part of the design. A penguin chick grows, then becomes an adult. A seal rests, then swims, then rests again. A whale surfaces, then sinks. A tide rises, then falls. A snowflake forms, then melts. These are cycles that don't require emotional speeches. They simply happen. And the calmest part is this. Within cycles, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. If you've been carrying a feeling that you should have done more today, let nature gently disagree. Nature rarely does more. Nature does enough. It does what supports continuity. And tonight, enough can be simple. Breathing, listening, resting. Inhale and exhale. There is humor in how patient nature is. The ice takes years to become itself, and it never complains. The sea repeats the same tides forever, and it doesn't get bored. Meanwhile, humans get bored waiting for a microwave to finish. We are charmingly impatient creatures. But tonight, you don't have to be impatient. You can borrow Antarctica's timeline, where minutes stretch like soft fabric, and rest is never considered wasted. The question from earlier returns like a familiar scent. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Perhaps it means belonging includes endings. It includes letting today end. It includes allowing the waking part of you to loosen so the sleeping part can arrive. You don't have to cling to the day. You can let it drift away, like an iceberg gliding into darkness, quietly becoming part of the sea. And you can trust that morning, another season, will return when it's time. For now, we drift into the next stage of our journey, where the reflections begin to descend. where we return to the question softly and begin guiding the mind towards sleep, like a slow tide returning home. Now we begin to drift downward toward deeper stillness. The landscape remains the same: ice, sea, sky, but the feeling shifts slightly, like the night settling more fully into itself. Sounds grow farther apart. Motion grows softer. Even the moonlight seems to dim, not disappearing, just becoming gentler. This is where we return to the question we carried quietly through the journey. What does it mean to truly belong to a place? When the place doesn't need you to prove anything, we don't answer it with a conclusion. We answer it the way nature answers things, with repetition, with presence, with quiet examples. A seal belongs on the ice by resting there. A penguin belongs by standing, by preening, by moving between sea and shore. A whale belongs by breathing, drifting, sinking. The ocean belongs by continuing its slow circulation. The iceberg belongs by drifting without explanation. None of them prove, none of them perform. They simply exist in the rhythm that fits them. And maybe belonging for you tonight is this: allowing yourself to fit the rhythm of rest, allowing sleep to be natural, not earned, allowing your mind to loosen without needing permission. Inhale and exhale. Let your breathing become the simplest rhythm in the room. If thoughts appear, let them appear like distant seabirds, small shadows cross in a pale sky. You don't have to follow them. You don't have to name them. You can let them glide by and fade. If your body feels heavy, that's welcome. Let it sink into the bed the way snow settles into a drift, softly, steadily, without resistance. The world outside your room continues, but it doesn't need you to manage it tonight. Antarctica continues too, far away, with its icebergs drifting like quiet cathedrals and its waves tapping gently at the ice edge. And you here belong to this moment of rest. You belong because you are here. You belong because you are breathing. You belong because nothing is required of you right now except softness. Now, we continue our descent into quieter imagery. Fewer facts, more repetition, more gentle drifting, like the tide smoothing the edge of ice again and again. The night grows quieter now, as if Antarctica itself is turning onto its side and getting comfortable. The wind, if it appears at all, feels softer, less like movement and more like breath. The sea continues its low, patient rocking beneath the ice, but even that sound seems farther away, as if the world has politely stepped out of the room to let you rest. Picture snow falling again, very lightly. Not a storm, not even a strong snowfall. Just tiny crystals drifting down, slow enough that you could almost watch each one choose where it wants to land. They settle on ridges, on smooth ice, on the rounded backs of sleeping drifts. They settle without pushing. They settle without needing the surface to change. They simply arrive, and the world makes room. Let your body do the same. If you can, allow your shoulders to drop a little more. Let your forehead smooth. Let your eyes rest heavy in their sockets, as if they're already remembering how to close. Inhale and exhale. Your breath is like snow too, arriving, settling, leaving softly. The question we've carried through the night comes back, but now it feels almost like it's whispering from across the room. What does it mean to belong when you don't need to prove anything? Maybe it means you can settle without explaining yourself. You can rest without justifying it. You can be quiet without being behind. Antarctica never tries to catch up. It never apologizes for being slow. It simply is, wide, pale, calm, and it still holds life. It still holds rhythm. It still holds meaning. If your mind offers you a list, things you should do, things you forgot, things you might worry about, imagine the snow covering the list gently, not erasing it angrily, just softening it until it's unreadable for now. Tomorrow can read it again if it really wants to. Tonight, the page is closing. A seal rests on the ice somewhere, its breathing steady and quiet. A penguin tucks its head toward warmth. The ocean keeps its patient motion under the frozen surface. Icebergs drift, turning slowly, as if even they are falling asleep. And your body here can begin to drift too. Inhale, slow. Exhale, slower. If you notice any tension in your hands, let your fingers loosen. Let your palms become warm, heavy, still. If you notice tension in your jaw, let it unclench slightly, like a small door opening. And if you want a final tiny smile of humor before we sink deeper, even the stones in Antarctica seem relaxed. They've had practice for a very long time. Now we continue deeper into quiet, where the landscape becomes simpler and your mind can follow it into sleep. Now, imagine the sea at the ice edge again. The water lifts gently, touches the frozen shelf, and eases away. Over and over, not as effort, as habit, as a lullaby that never gets tired of repeating itself. This slow motion smooths everything. It smooths the underside of ice. It rounds small edges. It carries tiny pieces of snow and salt and life in calm suspension. And it smooths the mind too, if you let it, because the mind, when it's tired, often wants to create sharpness, sharp thoughts, sharp worries, sharp little what-ifs that poke at you when you're trying to rest. But the ocean doesn't do sharpness for long. It turns sharp edges into curves, simply by repeating gentle contact. So let the ocean's motion become a rhythm in you. Inhale, wave arrives. Exhale, wave retreats. Inhale, arrives. Exhale, retreats. Nothing to solve, nothing to finish, just a steady tide of breath. Somewhere far out in the dark, an iceberg drifts and turns slowly. Its movement is so subtle that you could miss it if you blink. And that's the point. The world does not demand your attention. It offers you quiet. If thoughts come, treat them like small pieces of ice floating by. You can see them. You can acknowledge them. And then you can let them drift onward, carried by the current. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to melt them with effort. You can let time do what time does. The question returns again, but now it's hardly a question, more like a gentle statement. Belonging does not require proof. You belong in rest. You belong in quiet. You belong in this moment where nothing is asked of you. Let your body sink a little deeper into the bed, as if it's being gently lowered into warm sand. Let the weight feel safe. Let gravity do its kind work. Inhale and exhale. Even the ocean, vast as it is, moves in a pattern. It doesn't try to reinvent itself every minute. It simply continues. And that can be your permission tonight. You don't need to reinvent yourself right now. You only need to continue breathing. We drift onward into an even quieter place, where the animals settle into nighttime routines, and the landscape becomes a soft, steady background for sleep. The polar night holds a special kind of hush. It's not silence as emptiness, it's silence as shelter. In the distance, animals settle into rest. Seals lie still on the ice, conserving warmth. Penguins gather close, their bodies forming a small island of life on the pale surface. Birds, where they remain, tuck into sheltered places, letting the wind pass over them like a blanket. There is movement, yes, but it's reduced, minimal, gentle. The kind of movement that belongs to sleeping worlds, a slow shift of weight, a soft breath, a quiet blink, then stillness again. If you imagine the Antarctic coastline now, it feels like a sleeping house. Icebergs drift like furniture in a dim room, large shapes, barely moving. The sea is the soft sound in the background, like a fan humming somewhere far away. Snow is the slow, settling dust of the night, falling without effort, and you, listening here, can become part of that sleeping house. Let your eyes feel heavy, let your cheeks relax, let your tongue rest easily, let your shoulders and chest soften as if they're being gently warmed. Inhale and exhale. If you're still awake, that's perfectly fine. There's no urgency to sleep. Sleep doesn't like being chased. Sleep prefers being invited, like a shy animal that approaches when the forest is quiet enough. So we keep the forest quiet. We keep the voice soft. We keep the pace slow. And we allow your mind to drift like an iceberg, like a seabird gliding, like snow falling. The question returns one more time, almost like a lullaby line. What does it mean to belong? When you don't need to prove anything? Maybe it means you can be unfinished tonight. You can leave things incomplete. You can let the day end mid-sentence if it wants to. You can let your thoughts fade without tying them into a bow. Belonging doesn't demand closure. It only asks for presence. So be present in your breathing. Be present in the weight of your body. Be present in the quiet. And as we move now into the final rest, we let the facts fade even more. We let imagery carry you. We let repetition soften everything until sleep feels like the most natural next step. Now we return to the icebergs one last time, those drifting cathedrals of Antarctica. Picture them in the dark water, pale and calm, moving so slowly that time seems to stretch around them. Moonlight touches their edges, then slides away. Shadows gather in their gentle curves. They look timeless, and they behave timelessly. No hurry, no resistance, only the quiet agreement of drifting. If your mind needs a place to rest, let it rest here. Let it sit on an iceberg's smooth ledge, looking out over dark velvet sea. Let it listen to the faint tap of ice against water. Let it feel the cold is clean and soft, not sharp. Inhale and exhale. Your breath is the tide now. Inhale, the water lifts. Exhale, the water smooths. Inhale, lift. Exhale, smooth. Thoughts become fewer, like stars hidden behind thin cloud. The world becomes simpler. Ice, water, sky, breath. If a thought tries to rise, it rises slowly, like a bubble, and it pops quietly at the surface, leaving nothing behind. Everything in this scene belongs without needing proof. The iceberg belongs to the sea belongs to the night, The night belongs to the slow turning of the earth, and you belong to rest. You belong to the gentle slowing down of your body. You belong to the softness of this moment. If you want the tiniest hint of humor before sleep takes you fully, imagine the iceberg as a very dignified old cathedral that has decided to retire, floating away from all responsibilities, saying nothing, doing nothing, being admired anyway. Honestly, a strong career move. Now, let that image blur. Let the edges soften. Let the scene fade into quieter light. The ocean continues its steady rhythm under everything, like a lullaby that doesn't end. And you can let yourself drift into it. Now we let everything become even softer. The Antarctic night remains, ice and sea and sky, but it fades into the background, like a dim painting you don't have to analyze. You're not here to study. You're here to rest. So we return to the simplest rhythm of all, breathing. Inhale gently and exhale slowly. Inhale, as if cool air is entering a quiet room. Exhale, as if the room is letting go of the last little bit of day. Your breath can be like evening wind, present, calm, barely moving the surface of anything, not pushing, not demanding, just flowing through. If thoughts appear, let them be like soft snow in the air. They drift down, they land, they dissolve into stillness. No need to follow, no need to name. Inhale and exhale. Somewhere far away in your imagination, a seal rests on ice, breathing the same steady pattern. Somewhere, penguins stand close, a warm little cluster in the cold. Somewhere, the ocean continues its gentle circulation beneath the frozen skin of the world. Everything living is doing the same thing you're doing now, taking the next breath, then letting it go. And that is enough. If the day left any tightness in you, let the exhale carry it out softly. Not all at once, not dramatically. Just a slow loosening, like a knot untying itself because you stopped pulling it tighter. Inhale, slow. Exhale, slower. Your shoulders soften, your forehead smooths, your jaw rests, your hands become quiet, and if you catch yourself thinking, "Am I falling asleep yet?" That's okay. The mind is curious, but we can answer it gently. There is no need to check. Sleep arrives the way snow arrives, quietly, when you stop watching for it. So we keep drifting, we keep breathing, we keep everything unhurried. Inhale and exhale. The Antarctic scene grows simpler still, less detail, more atmosphere. Just the feeling of wide space, the sense of being held by a quiet world. And now we drift toward the final closing, where imagery becomes a soft blanket, and the ending lines remain steady and unchanged. The night holds steady now. Icebergs drift like pale thoughts you no longer need to finish. The ocean rocks gently beneath them, as if it's been doing this forever, and it has. The sky stays dark and calm, a ceiling of quiet. In this wide Antarctic stillness, there's a sense of safety. Not the loud kind, the soft kind, the kind that lets your body stop scanning, stop bracing, stop preparing. You don't have to be ready for anything right now. You don't have to do anything right now. You only have to be here, breathing, resting. Inhale and exhale. If you're still awake, let your attention rest on one simple image: moonlight on snow, a thin silver shine, a soft sparkle, a clean, gentle glow. Hold it lightly, like you're holding a warm mug, not gripping, just resting your hands around it. Inhale and exhale. The animals are quiet now. Their routines have softened into stillness. Seals rest, birds tuck in, penguins settle close. Even the ocean seems to lower its voice, speaking in smaller ripples, and you can lower your voice too, inside your mind. Less thinking, less naming, more drifting. Inhale and exhale. If your mind brings up a worry, imagine placing it on an iceberg. Let it sit there, cold and calm. Then let the iceberg drift away, slowly carrying the worry out to sea. No struggle, no argument, just a quiet departure. The world is big enough to carry it for a while, and you are allowed to rest. Inhale, slow. Exhale, long. The question from earlier is now only a gentle echo, almost gone. Belonging doesn't require proof, and the quiet wild seems to agree. You belong here, in this moment of softness. You belong in sleep. You belong in stillness. Now we let the imagery fade even more, like light dimming until you can barely tell where ice ends and sky begins. We move toward the final lines, the way a tide moves toward shore, steady, inevitable, gentle. Everything becomes simple now. The Antarctic world is still present, but it's more feeling than picture, more softness than scene, like you're wrapped in a wide, quiet blanket made of moonlight and snow. Breath moves in and out. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. The ocean continues, slow and steady, smoothing the edge of ice. The ice continues, pale and calm, holding the night without complaint. The sky continues, deep and dark, letting everything rest beneath it. And you continue too, quietly. Your body knows what to do. It knows how to sleep. It knows how to let go. You don't need to teach it. You only need to allow it. If the day left behind any loose threads of thought, you can let them fall. You don't need to tie them. You don't need to finish every sentence. Sometimes the kindest thing is to stop mid-thought and let the mind go blank like fresh snow. Inhale and exhale. The muscles in your face soften. The space between your eyebrows smooths. Your eyelids feel heavier. Your chest rises gently, then settles. Your hands rest. Your legs rest. Your whole body begins to feel like it's sinking into warmth, even as the Antarctic night stays cool in the imagination. It's okay to drift. It's okay to fade. It's okay to sleep. And if a tiny smile appears, soft humor like a feather, remember, even the stones in Antarctica seem relaxed. They've had practice, a very long practice. They are basically professionals at stillness. So you can be a beginner. You can be learning. You can simply rest. Inhale and exhale. We are nearly at the end now. The closing lines will arrive gently, like the last ripple of a wave smoothing the shore. And after that, you don't have to do anything at all. The Antarctic night fades into pure calm. Icebergs drift, barely moving, like quiet thoughts that no longer need your attention. The ocean breathes beneath them, slow and steady, a deep rhythm that continues whether you watch it or not. The snow rests, the wind rests, the animals rest, and you can rest too. Inhale and exhale. There's nothing to solve, nothing to prove, nothing to carry. If you're still awake, let your attention rest on one simple thing, the feeling of being held by the bed, held by the quiet, held by the steady rise and fall of your own breath. Inhale and exhale. If thoughts drift in, let them drift out again, like seabirds crossing the sky, then disappearing into darkness. Like waves arriving, then easing away, like snow settling, then becoming part of the stillness. Everything is gentle. Everything is slow. Everything is enough. And now we close with the final lines, unchanged, softly, steadily, as the night continues on its own. Everything flows through the wild. Sleep in that motion.